coming. So
Cool.
again, I think we're taking the last experience and upping it 2 or 3 notches, and it'll be exciting and interesting to hear from you, Mark, as the expert that puts these things together and is well versed, but then also to have some time for questions and answers for those who have particular needs. So go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, my Chiefs played yesterday and we won, so I've got tonight open. So, hey, and Tuck, I really appreciate it, and everybody that's watching. I've had the privilege of going on all the different river cruise lines, from Viking to Avalon to Uniworld to AMA Waterways. And AMA Waterways, honestly, we believe here, my wife and I that own Cruise Holidays of Kansas City, that we're one of the largest river cruise specialists in the country. We're AMA's 5th largest customer in the world, and they do groups better. Honestly, I put almost all my groups. I do about 5 hosted groups myself a year, and I put all of them on AMA every year. And so I've been on all these rivers. I've been on all the ships. So what I'd like to do is talk to you first about the Danube River. Of all the rivers in the world, and in I just absolutely, for me personally, because I'm a history guy and I love scenery, and the Danube gives you all of that. You go through, I think it's 4 different countries, and you see some amazing scenery. The cultural part of this is exciting. AMA does a great job giving you cultural tour options and experiences. But the Danube River is second to none, in my opinion. It's my favorite river. Generically, throughout the river cruise industry, for those of you that have not river cruised, or have not river cruised on the Danube, the Rhine River and the Danube River, year in and year out, every year, are the #1 and 2 most popular rivers in the world. So if you've not been on the Danube, or even if you have, there's always so much to be offered that is something that you just love. And I think you'll be so pleased with AMA. Now, saying that about the Danube, I can say, whoops, Craig, let me let you in. I would say this to you all. In fact, I'll give you just a little history, and I think that's so cool. The founder of AMA Waterways, his name is Rudy Schreiner, and he is very affectionately known and loved in this industry. He's known as literally the godfather of the river cruise industry. He worked for Viking River in the late 80s and early 90s, setting up the infrastructure for all these river cruise lines in Europe. He has worked for Avalon Waterways, and he worked for Uniworld. And he knows everything. His architecture, his background educationally was a ship architect. And so he, working for Viking and working for Avalon and Uniworld, their 3 biggest competitors, he said, man, I think I can do this better than my competitors do. And he has done so. They just this past October celebrated their 20th year in business. AMA Waterways did. So for all of the last about 15, 20 years, Rudy Schreiner, the owner, has had a dream that has been manifested in this ship you're going to get going, called the AmaMagna. Now, only on the Danube can a ship this size cruise. This ship is double the width of any other river cruise ship in the whole world, because you can't have ships this wide on any other river other than the Danube. And what he did to make it special for you is, instead of doubling the capacity, he only increased the capacity about 25%. What does that mean? A ship that's twice as big as any other ship that is out there on any other river. There's 196 customers maximum on this ship, whereas Viking River Viking River ships and I like Viking, and we sell a lot of Viking, but on the same, not on the their ships on the Danube hold 196 people, and it's half the size of this ship. So what does that mean? That means more public space. That means more opportunities for more restaurants and lounges. and that means bigger staterooms. So you're going to hear all about that tonight. So this, Tuck, when you say it steps it up 2 or 3 times, it truly does. My next job with your group, Tuck, is going to be a lot tougher after you guys go on this, because this is really pretty spectacular. And then that, excuse me, that time of the year is just great. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the ship. There we go. 98 staterooms, 196 guests, 72 feet wide, or 72 feet long. It has, without a doubt, the best passenger to crew ratio of any river cruise ship in the world, including talks. And staterooms, as you see, average size of 350 square feet to 710 square feet for the suites. And by the way, the suites will go first, as they always do right now. The beauty of this is there are more dining options available, and I'm going to go over that with you. Traditionally, there is a main dining room on a river cruise ship, and there is a specialty restaurant, and some of them don't even have the specialty restaurant, and that's because of the size. The size of the ships are very small. Most river cruise ships, like I said before, Ama's hold 164 people on most, at half the size of this. The fitness area is bigger, the spa area is bigger. I'll go through all this. I think you'll be very impressed with this. Every river cruise ship out there is basically 3 levels tall, and then an upper sun deck, as you see right there. It does have the largest pool in the industry, as you would guess. It is heated, depending on the weather. The weather's normally perfect in Hungary and Germany and Czech Republic when you're going there. That time of the year, it's just perfect. And there are a couple of hot tubs on this too. And all these, if it's real sunny, there are covered areas where you can lounge, or open areas where you can lounge. You see the walking track around there. You see the back of the ship that you can do water sports in the areas that water sports are allowed. Some areas will not allow them in the river, depending on how big they are, like the jet ski and the boats and some of the other things. So let's go through all this. So again, I told you that the rooms are bigger, and they are much bigger in a lot of, the average room size is not quite, but almost double any other river cruise ship, just to give you an idea. Here's a suite, big walk-in closets, huge bathroom, double vanity. Everything is really, really nice. You know, the handheld shower, big enough. Well, the joke in the industry, this is a 2-person shower, everybody. Most of the industry. I was just on one of the small ships on the Douro River in Portugal in October. And man, it was barely a 1-man male shower. So this is a good size one, a big one. They also do something, I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that bothers me, I get up at night to go to the bathroom, and God, you just hate to turn on a light, right, to wake you up, or your spouse when you go into the bathroom. They have these real little soft blue lights at night that you don't have to turn the lights on when you go to the bathroom. So there's a little travel tip that Ama does that is pretty cool. But again, what Tuck and all of you who went last time, what I'm guessing you found out, and those of you that haven't been on a river cruise, truly, I think what sets Ama apart is their staff. Their staff are fabulous, fabulous people that they hire and train. Most of them, not all, but most of them from Eastern Europe, from the former Yugoslavian countries. So I think their staff is the best staff in the industry. Ama has won all sorts of awards for the best culinary. I don't know this for a fact, but I would be willing to guess that if I ever found out their cost per person that they spend on food, they probably spend more than both Avalon and Uniworld and Viking for sure. And they give you, those of you that haven't been on a river cruise, it's so cool. I love this. They give you and like you to experience the local foods of the area that you're in, the local wines, the local beers. And if you don't like that, you always have a choice and options of what I call good old American or Western food. You'll love the presentation. In fact, the pastry chefs and all the chefs usually, when they're introduced the last night, next to the bartender, get the biggest round of applause. Bartenders always get the biggest round of applause. Okay, so here's the difference in the ships again. Here is the main dining room, and you see how colorful it is. I personally love this ship and love the energy and just a little extra space. Honestly, I think makes a lot of difference. Okay, here's a new restaurant that the other ships don't have, and it's just simply called Al Fresco. In a lot of cases, it is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They
Mark,
have,
is that the front end or the back end?
that is on the front.
The bow.
And
Okay.
it's on the front because Tuck, this is the chef's table that you guys liked so much on your last cruise. Isn't this a classy look? And this is on the aft or the rear part of the ship. But isn't that a classy look? I personally just love it.
For sure.
So, and it's bigger. It's bigger. So Tuck will be able to get your whole group in there. I know you want it twice, and I'll do everything in my power. I'll pull all strings. I'll guarantee you one night for sure right now. But we'll work on getting you that second night later based on how many people you have.
Great.
Okay, you guys look at this. This is the other restaurant that they put on there, and it doubles as a bar and a restaurant. So it's called Jimmy's Bar and Restaurant. Jimmy Murphy was one of the original owners of AMA Waterways, who, when they started it up, he is since deceased, and his son Gary took his place as owner, one of the three owners of AMA Waterways. But this restaurant was named after him. And Jimmy, a good Irishman, liked his wine, he liked his Jameson, and he liked his Guinness. So you'll find this is going to be a very, very welcome addition to what you will have on the AmaMagna.
Mark, we have our own Jimmy, so he'll fit right in. Jimmy Mulholland.
We'll just tell everybody this was named after him. Tuck, I am so sorry I couldn't get them to name a room or a restaurant after you. Maybe I should have tried to get this Tuck's Juice Bar and relax area.
Thanks.
But this is on the aft by the chef's table too. It's a really cool place. By the way, I like to go here a lot. It's on the aft. It's hardly used by anybody. It's got fruit juices, rolls, apples, bananas, things like that, in a beautiful area. If you have to do any work or just want to have a little time to yourself, it's just a gorgeous, classy little area. By the way, it's right behind the spa. It was designed for the spa, and I think the spa users just don't know it's there. By the way, look at this. This is the other thing you can do with a little extra space. Look at that spa lobby. So they have a nicer spa here just because of space. Much bigger, much nicer fitness center, and a wellness coordinator on board that they do all sorts of workout options, including yoga and stretching, the bikes, spin classes on this, as you see, and bike tours during the day. So anyway, that's the AmaMagna, the ship itself. And I got to tell you, second to none. There's not a better ship, river cruise ship in the world than this one. Okay, this is kind of the itinerary. See the little red square right there? That's Wilshofen, Germany. Prague is right up here under the sign that says Czech Republic. And then it ends up in Budapest. So if you notice, you'll do, like I said, you'll have Czech Republic, Germany, Austria, and Hungary. I don't think you stopped at Slovakia on this trip.
We were talking about Munich, Mark, so point that out.
Okay, yeah, Munich. Okay, do you guys see Wilshofen here? Munich is in Bavaria, and it'll be right in this area. Do you see my cursor, Tuck?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, it'd be right in here. I think it's a 3-hour drive from Munich to Prague again, which would be right up here at a beautiful drive. And we actually Tuck, we're going to recommend, we'll put this together for you, but we will recommend strongly, while I have this map up, that on our trip from Munich to the Czech Republic, we want to go through this little place. Do you see this Český Krumlov? It's not exactly on the way, but it's really close for you to go to. It is literally a medieval town that was lost in time. I've been there twice. It's just spectacular. And to me, it's a must-see place to go to. Fabulous shopping, and the prices, you know, our dollar is so strong in the Czech Republic that the prices are just spectacular. And then you go to Prague, and Prague is my favorite city in the world. And I think it's most everybody's favorite city when they see it. So
Mark, one thing I want to context for everybody, the original cruise is on the river Vilshofen to Budapest. There's two pre-trips. One could be Munich, one could be Prague, and either one of those is available, or neither, if you want to just go straight to the boat. But the other thing that Mark's team is working on fine-tuning here is an option to be able to do Munich and then Prague and then get to the boat. So kind of best of all three. That's not final, but pretty close. And Mark, you'll probably speak to some of that, right?
Yeah, I will. Actually, my very last slide, Lynette was working on that all day today, and we've got 95% of it done. And I would suggest to you all, I have been to that Oktoberfest in Munich, and I mean, to tell you, is it an experience unlike anything else you'll ever experience. And again, Prague, please, 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 if you can, ideally do the Munich and Prague combination. If you cannot do that, please, 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 at least do Prague. It is a disservice on our end if we don't encourage you to at least see Prague. It's just so spectacular. And then I'd say a little bit the same way down here, Budapest, where you end. If you want to spend an extra night there, you'll be glad you did, or two even. So let's go through the itinerary. We'll get you down. If let's say you start in Prague, everybody's going to fly into Prague for the most part. We will get you to the embarkation city, which is Vilshofen, Germany, in just south of Prague. It's about a 2-hour drive. We stop at Regensburg. We might put the Český Krumlov trip there for you. But if you do Český Krumlov on this tour beforehand, the other opportunity to see it is on the same day. You have an opportunity to go to Salzburg. And again, holy cow, are those two tough choices as to decide what to do. But again, I think personally, Salzburg is a must-see. So if you can do them both, you'll be glad you did. Also, by the way, let me go back one. AMA Waterways is the main river cruise line that stops here. For the longest time, they were the only one. And the town of Vilshofen has really worked fabulously with AMA. And they have every night. So the first night you board the ship, that night, right after dinner, will be an Oktoberfest, another Oktoberfest for you to experience in this little town of Vilshofen. Right off the ship, it's literally a 2-minute walk to where they hold the Oktoberfest. Pretty cool. And then the next day when you take off, we go to Passau. Passau, Germany is one of the most special places in Germany and in Europe. And many of you have probably seen this on TV commercials by Viking and Avalon and everybody that advertises. This is one of the few areas that three rivers run into this city, and it's a spectacular city. For those of you who have never river cruised, every time we stop, or every time the AmaMagna stops at a port, there will be 3 to 6, maybe even 8 options of tours, almost all of which that are included that you can pick from. AMA also has bicycles on the ship. And if you want to do a bike riding tour, they have that in every place that we stop. Actually, bike riding, these bike tours are getting more and more popular all the time. As you would guess, along the rivers, there's all sorts of castles and fortresses. On the Danube, there's actually more fortresses than castles, but there's a lot of both. So you'll get to see a lot of them every place we go. Okay, here's that. This is the toughest day to decide what to do when you stop in Linz, Austria. And Linz, by the way, in itself has an area that's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But the thing that most people do, and it's a full day tour, is to go into that magical Sound of Music town called Salzburg. And you drive through the Austrian lakes as you go from Linz to Salzburg, and it is breathtakingly beautiful. And that time of the year will be a very, very special time of the year to be in that area. Okay, if you do not do Český Krumlov on the pre-package, this is the day that there will be an opportunity for you to do this. Excuse me. The Chiefs game got pretty close last night, and I was screaming at the TV. Pretty loud. So Salzburg and Český Krumlov to me are must sees. So I'd sure try to figure out how to do them both. The pre-package from Munich to Prague will allow you to do that. Gran in Austria, a lot of different options to do here. The one I'll recommend to you both is going to see Berg Clam. I had the pleasure of cruising with the two owners, Rudy Schreiner and his wife, Christine Karst, and the count that lives in this castle that was built as a fortress. Their family has lived here for 550 years, and they have a winery, vineyard area. And the wine that you will have on many of the days in this area will be wine from the Berg Clam, and they will have a wine tasting excursion at their home in the castle. Now, I personally believe this Benedictine Abbey here in Melk, excuse me, will be one of the highlights. This abbey that is a still working abbey is 900 years old and in unbelievable condition. So unbelievable. It's to me, you'll not have a whole lot of other options. This is in the morning that we will do this, because there's basically nothing else there. Then that afternoon, we go to Spitz, and there are several things to do there, but this Dernstein excursion, which you can do as a hike, or you can do that as a, well, it's not a full motor coach. It doesn't take you all the way up there. It takes you about right here, about 2/3 the way up, and then you still got to walk it. Part of the history of this castle up here is Richard the Lionhearted was imprisoned there for quite a while upon the return from one of his crusades. So you'll learn all about that. Then arguably, one of the most impressive cities in the world is Vienna, Austria. So this is a day you'll get to see a lot, and you'll have a lot of decisions. The central square of Vienna is just world-class special. Tuck, one of the things that I've done when you have a little free time and you overnight there so you can do this is the Lipizzaner stallions are right down here by the square, and you can, I think for 15 euros, you can go watch them practice if they have a showing that night, which is rare, but if they do, Ama will have an opportunity to go there. And it really is fabulous to watch those Lipizzaner stallions be trained. The Vienna Boys Choir too will check for you if they are there and have a performance. Ama will make that available for everybody, and I would recommend it. But to me, I'm a history guy. Many of you know that the Habsburgs ruled the world for close to 400 years, and this was their palace. This is where they ruled out of, right there in Vienna. And It's nice when you're king and queen. This is 1,441 rooms in their palace. But even better than that, you see the gardens down there, and they have a zoo and a World War I memorial right about. This picture is taken from the World War I memorial area. I would recommend this to everybody. It's just unbelievable. If you've been to the Palace of Versailles or the Hermitage, this arguably is the third most impressive single structure palace in the world. And then we end up in Budapest, and I'll tell you what, we overnight in Budapest. This is the Parliament building that was built right after Hungary gained its independence from communism. In fact, on this, the Parliament there, as you see it, and your hotels will be, if you stay in Budapest later on after the cruise, will be on the right side as we're looking at this, the Parliament side. That's called Pest, P-E-S-T. On the other side of the river, looking at this, let's say the left side of this screen, it's a little bit of a hilly or mountainous area, and that's the Buda side, and that's where all the communist buildings were. Well, there was such animosity against the communists that Hungary went into, they should never have spent the kind of money they spent on this Parliament building, but they did, and it is world class. It is arguably, maybe next to the Eiffel Tower, the most impressive structure to see from the river anywhere in the world. And you will go out at night and do it's called illumination trip to see that Parliament building at night. It is spectacular. Okay, let's go over all this. The ship is designed on 3 different levels. 90% of the rooms that are being offered will be balconies or these suites, the owner suite, grand suite, SA suite, and SB suite. The outside balconies on category AA and AB are on the 2nd and 3rd deck. The middle deck, which I called the 2nd just a minute ago, is called the cello deck. The top deck is called the violin deck, and the very bottom deck, you see where my cursor is right above the water? That's the piano deck. And see where it says upper wall windows? That, just to be candid with everybody, you're sleeping below water level, but the windows are there, so you have you have a view out. If swans cruise by, you'll get to see swans up close and personal. But the cello deck and the violin deck are the most popular decks, as you would probably guess. And prices that time of the year go anywhere from $44.94 per person up to $12,076 per person. That includes your port taxes. That includes your tours. That includes your accommodations. They have Tuck, I think we did we do the, I think we did the meal plan for, or the drink plan for you too, did we not?
You can double verify with Lynette in the morning, but my understanding is these prices are our discounted group prices, which also include everything you just said, plus the premium drink package and transfers and crew gratuity.
Yeah, the gratuities too at the end. That's exactly correct.
But so Mark, one of our guests, the Mulhollands need to know if Tammy can get a suite level room, and she wants Jim down in the wall window down on the port line.
Well, tell Jim and Tammy we do that all the time for couples that that, and by the way, we get a discounted rate on counseling services too, if that's the case.
I just need a hole in the floor, just run the funnel right down from the bar.
Jimmy, if you want, we could just set up a cot or something like that. I know the owners quite well, and we could set it up in Jimmy's bar and restaurant after it's closed.
Oh, that might work for me.
We just need to make sure we get this booked before Ama finds out that they're giving the drink package to the same crew that was there last summer.
Yeah, we'll figure out how to hide that from them for a while. just to go over this, I don't ever mean to be pushy, but I asked Tuck if we could do this before Christmas, because we have done what's called a partial charter to get you guys the best discount we can get you. And we've held 32 rooms on this cruise to do that. And we're paying for them in advance. So if you can, we would appreciate you making decisions as quickly as you can. We did negotiate a wonderful discount, which they don't have to do this time of the year on this ship, but they did for us, for you. But they did determine what we asked for the discount. They said, yes, but you're going to pay us by check. So we have to pay them by check. You all, we would appreciate check or wiring from you, or if you want to use a credit card, we can, but we have to add the 3.5% merchant fee on that. So the cost of the cruise, we went over. Pre and post packages are additional. I'll go over that in just a minute for you. How they work, the deposits are based on the dollar amount of the category that you're booking. So as you see that, if you book those category E's, which are the upper wall rooms, to the SA cabins, that's $1,500 per person. The grand suite or the owner's suite, $2,500 or $3,000 per person. They are non-refundable, so make sure you want to do this. I would recommend travel insurance too, in case something comes up that's a medical issue that you would have to cancel. Second payment on it is due on March 15th, and the final balance is due June 16th. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Cruise accommodation, taxes, transfers, gratuities, and drink packages are included. Okay. If you need to, and many people do, but if you just are flying into Prague, we can arrange Ama to pick you up and take you from the airport to the hotel, and also get you to the ship. And if you're staying in Budapest afterwards, we get you from the ship to the hotel where you're staying. Okay. What is not included is the airfare, travel insurance, or any of your incidentals on the cruise part of it. The pre-package again is additional. Let's go over this Oktoberfest pre-package real quick here. This is really true. Tuck, I think you'd look good in this outfit right there with the lederhosen and that big, nice pretty tie.
Don't you have one?
He has them already.
Yeah, I should get an extra discount because I have my own lederhosen.
Yes, he does.
I don't know if I can get you a discount, but I probably could get you to be in that festival, Tuck.
Perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they pay those people. They probably pay them in beer. But I can work on that.
That works.
Okay,
He
here's
thinks he's Scottish too, and he wears his kilt with no underwear, which is a little annoying.
well, if you look under the kilt, it's very annoying. I agree.
Yeah.
Hey,
There's a couple of jealous Irishmen right there.
Okay, here's what we need you all, and Tuck, you can head up the communication now or later, but what we need you all to think through is if the 5-star hotel options on that Munich and Prague pre-package are what you all want, or if the 4-star hotels will work. It's a 4-star hotel in Munich and a 5-star hotel in Prague. So there is a $400 per person difference. Just kind of everybody be a little alert to the fact, if you've been to Europe, I'm sure many of you have, I call it their star system. Americans, a 4-star in my world is a 3.5 star. Their 5-star hotels are pretty good, but to me, they're 4.5. You know, they're not quite what we're used to as luxury hotels. So just be aware of that.
You're saying the 4-star option might be noticeably different than the 5 or what we're expecting.
Tuck, honestly, it will be. There's no doubt it will be. And with Oktoberfest going on, whatever you decide, I ask you try to decide as quickly as possible, because the demand after 2 years of not having Oktoberfest, and all of a sudden now they've got it. They had they oversold everything for this October or this past Oktoberfest. They'll do the same this year. So we need to get on this as quick as we can with deposits. So
Mark,
what
you might need to double check this later, but I believe when Lynette was working on the combo option,
Yeah, this is the combo.
she was suggesting Munich first and then going to Prague and then back to the cruise.
Yeah, I recommended that to her to tell you it doesn't make any sense to do it the other way. You're really better off going from Munich to Prague to the ship.
Okay, great.
The other option, the other reason why I like doing it that way, Tuck, is we can get the group that does this, that Chesky Krumloff tour.
Yeah,
With this, it'll be additional because we wanted you guys to decide what you wanted to do. But if you can do the Chesky Krumloff on this tour option here, then when you get to Linz on the cruise, you can do Salzburg. So that's the way you can get them both done. Okay.
and then for everybody that's listening, again, these numbers add up pretty quick, and don't forget it's per person. But for those who are, whether it's time or money or just optionality, back in the original email I sent out, and Mark or Lynette can help refresh as well tomorrow. But this is the combo option we're just trying to make available because it would be cool to do both if you can or want to. But there's still the original pre-tours for just Munich and then cruise, or just Prague and then cruise. So that, don't forget, that's an option.
Exactly. And by the way, my counsel to you, when you decide, just call Lynette is our group coordinator. I'm sorry she couldn't be on the Zoom call tonight, but Lynette can go over any of those other options. And it's my strongest counsel to, if you have kids, to spend your kids' inheritance, or do like Tammy and Jim and put Jim in a lower stateroom to save money so you can do things like this. But one way or another, this is a beautiful part of the world at a beautiful time of the year. And after you've missed a couple of years, the more you can do, the more you'll be glad you did. So, but again, it includes the airport transfer in Munich, your accommodations in the hotels, the walking tour in Munich, and the Oktoberfest. Then they will transfer you to Prague. We'll stop at Regensburg and Pilsen. Pilsen's one of the great big beer factories. The highlight to me is this Prague Old Town. Holy cow. And Tuck, what I did for your group is the one that I am the most, that I just absolutely love. It's where they take you up to the hill, top of the hill, where the castle fortress is, that is just world-class spectacular. It never got bombed during World War II because it was, the pilots would use it to figure out where they were. So it's in pristine shape for so many places in Europe. But then you'll get a chance to walk down into the old town of Prague, and then the guide will allow you to stay in town or go back to the hotel. But Prague,
Which hotel is that?
What's that?
Which hotel is that?
Well, that's in the city of Prague, so you'd be staying probably at the Sofitel there, or excuse me, the Art Nouveau Palace or the Jalta Boutique Hotel.
Okay.
That's the one in Prague. The city tour is the one I just love. Probably arguably the most famous bridge in the world is called the St. Charles Bridge, and it's right there in Prague, and it is just spectacular. And the guide will walk you right over that St. Charles Bridge. And Prague is, again, it's so inexpensive. That's why people all over the world go there and just love it. And they've got some of the best restaurants anywhere in the world. So we've got all this set up for you too. Okay. Well, this is us. I took the picture, and as you see, we're heavy on estrogen in our company, light on testosterone. So, but this is all we do. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to work with all of you. Tuck, we had a great time putting all this together for you for your Rhone River cruise last year on AMA. And I can promise you, I know you guys had a great time on that. everybody will be spoiled out of their mind on this AmaMagna. It is a world-class experience. And
On a couple tidbits, I would say, everybody's probably aware and dialed into travel insurance, but that saved several of our group members, whether it was air flights, discombobulated or luggage or whatever. But I would also compliment, even though probably several of us, we booked our air travel separately. A few people booked through Mark and company, and like Jim and Anita Patterson had a real nightmare on the way over, and Lynette really bailed them out and got them to where they needed to be with some tough situations. So definitely being abroad and having someone to quarterback is a good thing. And just in general, the last coordination was really good, and that's why we're back talking to Mark's team. So it's not just the boat, it's the team.
Yeah, it is. Well, I thank you for that. And that's a good point. We can help you. A lot of people have points nowadays. It's perfectly fine. If you do, we could give you the counsel on when to get there, how to get to the hotels, how to get back, all these things. Travel insurance, this day and age, I think, is an absolute must. The airline industry is very, very challenging right now as they come back from the pandemic. So I strongly encourage travel insurance. And we can go over all that with you.
Mark, one thing you didn't mention much was the post option in Budapest, which I think was a 2-day stay over. And then the other thing I remember you telling me was, even if you were to leave the same day as the cruise arrives, you did make a comment to me, even if you don't stay 2 days on the sponsored post cruise, if you stay one night at a hotel and leave the next day, it's worth either enjoying the city one night, or I think you said oftentimes the airline tickets dramatically change because not everybody's leaving that same day. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Tuck. That's a little trick that we've learned over the years. You have 196 people or 190 or whatever it is on this ship, and 80% of them will leave. 60 to 80% of them will leave the same day they get off the ship. And that just is, you go the next day, there's just a lot fewer people leaving that day on a usual basis. So we look at that, and we, in many cases, can find that the air is enough less, not in all cases, enough less to pay for your hotel or a good part of your hotel. And yes, AmaWaterways package is 2 nights. And remember, their package includes the transfers to the hotel from the ship when you get to Budapest, and also from the hotel to the airport, and a walking tour of the city. By the way, Budapest has a spectacular pedestrian mall area, about 12 blocks long. There's a million different restaurants and places to go to. I love Budapest, and I gotta just share with you guys. This is the one place I went right after my wife and I got married. We went on a ski trip into Austria to Kitzbühel and Innsbruck to go snow skiing, and the snow was horrible that year. So we did a bunch of touring instead. And that's when communism was still in effect with all these countries over there. So Mimi wouldn't go with me, but I went to Hungary for one night in 1978 when there was communism. And I want to tell you, never in my whole life have I seen people with no hope on their face, people that wouldn't hardly ever look you in the eye, people that wore the most drab clothes in the world, people that lived in areas that was just concrete colored, everything. It was just, I remember it like it was yesterday. So when I went back there maybe 15 years ago, and capitalism had come along after Hungary had gained its freedom from communism, and then you saw the colors of the buildings, people wearing clothes that had color in them, people that had hope and joy on their face. It was a stark experience on the difference in what happens when you're under communist control and when you're not. I remember that. Gosh, I remember
Mark,
that day.
Mark, I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but you kind of pulled it out. Good job.
I thank you, Tuck. I did take a long time. It's a little late for me, and I'm not drinking wine like you are now. You might think I am, but I'm
I
not.
thought that was vodka or something.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you know? Tuck,
Why don't
any
we,
other questions or does
question and
anybody-
answer? Anybody got questions?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. This is Jim and
Hey.
Terry from Tennessee. Just want to make sure we all fly into Prague regardless of whether we take the combo trip or the single trips pre-cruise. It's all into Prague, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, hold on, Mark, if you're doing both Munich and Prague, I thought you were saying flying to Munich.
Let me be sure I understood your question. The trip will start. If you're going to Munich and Prague, it's best to fly into Munich, which is a very big air gateway city.
Okay.
If you're not doing that, Jim, and I apologize, I thought I heard you say if you're not doing the pre-tour with Munich in it.
Yeah, no worries. That cleared it up. It makes a lot of sense to fly into Munich if we do the combo cities. And when will you know if the combo city pre-tour is a go? I think you said you're 95% of the way there.
Yeah. We literally, we just have to get a contract from the company we're working with.
Okay.
They have yet to give us a minimum number to make it work, but usually that number is either 6 or 8. So I don't think there should be a problem.
Perfect. And I think my last question is referencing vaccines. We didn't make your trip last year because we are unvaccinated. What are the implications of that today?
Praise the Lord. Almost the whole world has opened up now that you can travel internationally without being vaccinated and without having to have COVID testing. That is especially true on AMA waterways right now. And for these 4 countries that you're going into, it's true. You do not have to be vaccinated, nor do you have to show any kind of proof of COVID testing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It has opened up, Jim, it's opened up a world that was a lot bigger than I personally thought it was. Of people.
But probably one thing that would be helpful, I do think Mark's not trying to sell this in. This is a popular river, popular ship, and popular week. So we are going to have to do some locking in sooner than normal on this type of planning ahead. But on top of that, if we have good feedback from folks on whether your intentions are just cruise or the double pre-tour, which we're trying to do kind of, I'm going to say the best of all 3, the more we know who's really intent on that, then it does help us lock that in and make sure that we've got the right accommodations, transfers, et cetera.
I beg you that they in every contract we have had from any company in Europe right now, they have an asterisk that says we have the right to change pricing and pull held space at any time, which is why we wanted to have this Zoom call tonight. I'd urge you to talk through it as quick as you could. Try to make decisions by the end of the year if it's possible.
And then Mark, would it be fair to say on the pre-trip, if someone was interested in Munich, Prague, I think it's $500 per person to hold that. Not that I'm cavalier with $1,000, but if you held it now and something happened later, by the time you're making air travel reservations, I mean, you could bail out on that if you needed to before the final payments due.
It is, Tuck, it's transferable. It's non-refundable, but it is transferable.
Okay. You mean if someone else picked up that spot or
That's
something?
correct. Be pretty much sure 75–80% you want to do that and are able to do that before you deposit. But if something came up after you deposit, the best thing to do would be to see if we could find somebody to take your place.
Right. Good.
Okay,
All right. Hey,
Mark.
nice.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you and nice job on the presentation. You're going to send a link tonight to this recorded?
It'll be tomorrow.
Okay.
Jim, I don't pay Nicole to work at night.
Yeah,
He
no
got me
worries,
earlier.
no worries, sorry. Bad
You know,
guess.
it's kind of been a tough time in our industry, Jim. I hope you'll understand and can
Yeah,
wait
I
till
got you.
tomorrow.
Okay, I do have a question, Mark. When you say the weather's fabulous, what do you mean by that? Like what temperatures are we looking at?
Usually in the mid-70s. Let's say in most parts of the world or our country, I mean, you'll have a differential of maybe 8 degrees. So I would say the highest you could get is the low 80s, the lowest you get is the high 60s as the high, and then it'll get down into the 60s, high 50s at night. But I mean, to me, and by the way, I love personally to travel late September, early to mid-October, because the weather is traditionally great as far as the temperature. And usually there is less chance of rain this time of the year than say if you did it in spring or maybe later on in October, early November.
And even if tourism is hot and heavy, getting into late September, October is probably a little less crowds and all that.
Oh gosh, you guys, summer is the busiest time of the year, and it'll be busy here. And Munich with the Oktoberfest will be busy as can be, but it'll be 30 to 40% fewer people than would be at the same places in August or July.
Mark, make a note for Lynette. Whoever ends up in Munich, we have to have our own giant picnic table at a beer hall for sure, reserved.
And let me, I'm making a note too. And do you want me to find a place where Lederhosen is available?
Yes, please.
And beer maidens are,
Yep, mandatory.
He's already got his beer made.
Yeah.
got it. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had one. The cruise is the 24th through the 1st. If you do the 2 pre-parts of the trip, what is the dates of that?
We'd leave the United States on September 18th. And our first night in Munich would be the 19th. And then we would spend the next night, the 20th in Munich, which is September 20th, and September 21st. We would do it. We'd have a morning free and then head up to Prague. And when we get on our way to Prague, we'll stop at Regensburg, which I've been to before, fabulous place, and then the beer distillery in Pilsen. And then we'll spend that night in Prague, which is September 21st. And September 22nd, the next day, we will also be staying in Prague that full day, and we'll do the half-day walking tour of Old Town and we'll do the Jewish Quarter too for you. We've got that in there. That's my opinion, a must-see. And then we have about, well, the balance of the day, I think we get done with that tour around 1:30, and the balance of the day is free, which is good. The Prague Central, it's called the Old City Plaza area. Everything bases around that plaza to go east, west, north, and south, and you will love having free time in that old city. Your hotel will be walking distance from the old city. Then on September 23rd, John, you'll be spending the night in Prague also, where we will do another half-day tour for you with a half-day of free time to do whatever you'd like there. And then on September 24th is when we will go from Prague to Vilshofen. We have it stopping at Český Krumlov if you guys decide that's what you want to do on your way to the ship.
So that ends up being maybe a late morning departure, early afternoon, mid-afternoon arrival to the ship.
Yeah, yes, you will probably be to the ship, I'm guessing based on that. You'll be there by 3 o'clock, give or take a little bit.
And then the ship disembarks that day or the next morning?
Actually, the next morning.
Okay.
That's the night you get on the ship, you get yourself unpacked, settled in, see the ship, and then they have every night, for those of you that have not river cruised, every night around 6 o'clock, give or take a little bit, they will have a, they call it the AMA Sip and Sail. hour, where they traditionally give you half hour just to catch up, meet people, talk to your group. A lot of people are just getting there, of course. And the second half of the hour, the cruise manager, which will be the most important person on the ship for all of you, will talk about the Oktoberfest they'll have later that night. We'll talk about how things work on the ship, and we'll talk about the next day's tours that are included. After that, so now you're talking around 7 o'clock. The sip and sail is from 6 to 7. Around 7 o'clock, they will start dinner. Usually dinner is an hour and a half, 2 hours for you wine drinkers. And then the Oktoberfest will start between 8:30 and 9 o'clock and go for a couple hours.
And what about on the back end of the trip? What's going on there?
Are you talking about when you get to Budapest?
Yes.
Okay, the ship, on the last day, October 1st, you will disembark the ship, and they like to have everybody off the ship by 9 o'clock or as close to 9 o'clock as possible. If you are first of all, if you're flying out, there will be departures that will take you to the airport. If you're staying in Budapest, there will be departures that will take you to the hotel. If you have AMA's hotel packages. If not, we'll arrange transfers for you, or you can arrange a taxi to take you to your hotel. Check-in time over in Europe is usually not till 3 o'clock. So if you do stay in Budapest, what most people do is they take their luggage to the hotel. They store them in the storage area, and I've done this dozens of times, and it is secured and it is just fine. And then you go do whatever it is that you'd like to do that day. If you want us to arrange you a tour that's different from what AMA can arrange you, we can sure do that for you too.
Well, I guess what I was asking is, do you have an event planned for post-cruise, or is it just pre-cruise?
No, we don't have anything planned for post-cruise for the group. But
Okay,
as Tuck said earlier, you are welcome to stay and do that 2-night post package that AMA has, which we'll get you those prices tomorrow. I'll have Lynette send that out to everybody. And that includes the transfers from the ship to the hotel, a tour. Usually there's a little bit of a, what is it called? Orientation tour to Budapest that afternoon or evening. And then there is a half-day tour the next day of the highlights of Budapest that you will get to do with a half-day worth of free time.
I
Then
think that's a total of a 15-day time commitment on both sides if you do everything.
yeah, the September 18th through, what would that be, October 1st in Budapest, 2nd in Budapest, leaving on the 3rd, 12. That's about 15 days. That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah, good.
thank you.
No, that's good. Good for you for asking. Any other questions?
Good
I have a
info.
question. This
Yes.
is Angie Schmidt. I don't think you guys knew I was on. I've been on the whole time, but I just want to say thank you, Mark. It was very informative. And by the way, I know that your Chiefs played last night, but just going to say that the Cardinals are playing tonight. So I hope everybody's watching.
I've got
And we are ahead 3-0.
By the way, I've got it recorded, and this would be the wrong time to say I did come to Glendale to the opening game of your Cardinals season when the Chiefs play the Cardinals. And I look forward to coming back to Glendale in February, mid-February.
Oh, do you, Mark?
Yes, I bet you do.
Well,
Lucky you.
you
We
know,
won't be here playing. We won't be here watching the Cardinals. I don't think.
Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, if I come to take my kids, both my kids, I'm an avid Chiefs fan. I'm a season ticket holder, and I took my son to the 2020 Super Bowl where we won in Miami against San Francisco, and I spent a good part of his inheritance with him. So my daughter now says it's her turn
Oh, there you
she
go.
wants me to take her and her husband and her 2 kids. And I said, sweetheart, you don't have that much inheritance.
Well, he's not available, right?
Well, I got to tell you, holy cow. I don't know if you looked at Super Bowl pricing, but it's crazy. But let's wait. on that. By the way, I could do probably 6 or 7 of these 15-day cruises for what one Super Bowl ticket will cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. It was very informative. You did a very job well done.
Well, thank you. And Lynette is here. As Tuck said, we really do care. We understand that a lot of people have a lot of questions, and a lot of your questions are individual questions that you want to just share with us, not the whole group. That's perfectly fine. We will talk to you. And Lynette is your group coordinator on that. You know, our phone number, I think you all have. If not, you'll be able to get it. It's 816-7. Well, we'll send it to you when we send the link.
Yeah, and Mark, if you could just, besides the link, a really good recap of the calendar we just talked about. If people are doing every option available, Munich, Prague, River Cruise, and then Budapest post. And then maybe just to elaborate on as well as the calendar, the pricing, and then if people wanted to split up Munich, Prague, just one or the other, reminder of what that looks like. That would be real helpful.
We can do that. I know Lynette sent that, has it all chronologically for you guys. So we'll send that out with the link, okay?
Good. And then maybe just a reminder of making sure folks give maybe Cruise Holidays a response with copy Tuck and Jeanette on what you think your intentions look like, just so we can kind of start tallying and getting our arms around group size and options and all that.
Yeah, that really does help us. So we'll send that out and remind you. If you could just give us your what you're thinking you will probably be able to do, that helps us in our planning. You know, if it's going to be a bigger van or a motor coach, we need to know, we need to get that held sooner than later. So
Right.
A lot of us have no idea. You know, it's kind of like the Super Bowl coming to Glendale or coming to Phoenix. When there's an Oktoberfest or something like that, you just cannot believe the number of people from all over that come to events like that. So getting hotels, getting motor coaches, getting guides, all of that needs to be done in advance.
Very good. Thanks again, Mark. Appreciate your time this evening, and those that are further east,
Go to bed.
go to bed. Go to bed. Yeah, and we'll all talk soon. It's a pleasure having everyone on, and we look forward to this coming year trip.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see
you,
you
guys.
later.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Todd.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.